All right, everyone following, everyone listening, this is Rasta here to talk to you about NBA 2000, November 2018. And we've got a 7 game slate. Uh, so the top 3 teams that I have, the highest score, 4.25, is Golden State, Memphis, and Philly. Um, Golden State and Philly are in the top game. Golden State's got the assists, 3-pointers, and field goal attempts in play. So Durant, Curry, Klay Thompson, all in play. Draymond gets a look too in the top game. Um, we got Houston at Memphis. Memphis is the number 2 team, or actually tied for number 1. Sorry. Rebounds and 3-pointers are in play, so you gotta like Gasol. I like Ennis. You want to consider a bench player in this game. With Conley out, Chalmers will be a popular play. Philadelphia, they're also tied for first, 3-point shot. So that's Covington, J.J. Redick. Those are strong plays. Covington or J.J. Redick, I believe one of them should have a big game. It's probably going to be Covington since he's got a little bit more upside. But a top game, so Embiid and Ben Simmons obviously are in play as well. Even though they both don't offer you the three, Embiid's going to give you the 3-point shot. So keep that in mind. Boston, they've got a score of 3. They have my second highest score. Assists, 3-pointers are in play. So that's Kyrie Irving, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Horford are all in play. They play in Atlanta. So could be a small ball game. So definitely like the guards a little bit more in this game. And Horford should have a decent game. Houston, number 2 game. I have nothing lit up for Houston in any of these categories. That means you go for a superstar, which means I'm going to say Harden is in play here. And after having a 90-point game, or I'm sorry, he had it was like 65 points, I think. I have to double check, but yeah, after having a good game his last game on that 2-game slate, I'm sure he'll probably be a pretty popular play tonight, specifically because he's probably got the highest upside of anybody on the board. Portland got all the categories lit up: rebound, assists, 3-pointers, and field goal attempts. I have them in green here, even though they're the number 5 game. I have them in green as far as the game against Sacramento. The reason why is because Sacramento also has all 4 categories lit up. I've never seen this, so I'm going to assume that this is going to be a low-key, high-scoring game. So, and ironically, both teams are pretty cheap, at least the starting units. So I'm talking about as far as with salary. So you could stack this game and get away with it. Still have room to fit in a few other studs, and if this game takes off, you could be at a huge advantage. Utah, rebounds and assists. They're at Orlando, so they're going from west to east. Rebounds and assists, that's going to be Favors. It's going to be Rubio if he plays. Joe Ingles again. So yeah, those are probably the main plays that I like from that Utah at Orlando game. I have it as my lowest ranked game, so I'm not really going to want to get too much from that game. Probably find a stud or so from one of these teams and then keep it moving. Clippers, they take on Charlotte. It's my number 3 ranked game. 3-pointers and field goal attempts. So a volume shooter, first name comes to mind, is Blake Griffin again. 3-point shooters, Blake Griffin again. You've got Austin Rivers. Patrick Beverley might be back. Wesley Johnson is shooting the 3. So look, and he's coming off a big game. So these are guys that you want to consider when you think about the Clippers. Dallas has got all 4 categories lit up: rebounds, assists, 3-pointers, and field goal attempts. They're in the number 6 game against Milwaukee. It's not a very appealing game, but there's going to be some value here. So Wesley Matthews, Harrison Barnes, Dennis Smith Jr., any guys that can contribute in multiple categories that you feel has a decent matchup you want to consider. Same game, here's Milwaukee in the same game, Milwaukee at Dallas. assists and 3-pointers. So that's Giannis Antetokounmpo, that's Chris Middleton, that's Eric Bledsoe. So these are some guys that you want to consider. Charlotte, rebounds and assists. So the assist would be Kemba. He's been hot. But if Beverly plays, just consider that if Beverly plays, it could hurt Kemba's upside. And they've got Batum back, so it's kind of strange to see him taking off like the way he is. So I'm expecting him to have a decline here at some point. So with assists and rebounds, speaking of Batum could actually be a pretty solid play. Dwight Howard, Jeremy Lamb. These are guys that you want to think about in your lineups in this Charlotte Clippers game. I spoke about Sacramento, Buddy Hield, Darian Fox, Zach Randolph. All 4 categories are lit up in the Sacramento-Portland game. So Garrett Temple's also in play. He's a volume 3-point shooter. Orlando, you're looking for, they've got a 0, looking for a stud. Well, the team is pretty balanced. They're playing against Utah. So someone that gives you rebounds, assists, and 3-pointers is going to be like Aaron Gordon, who should have a pretty strong matchup. Vucevic, who should have a strong matchup with Utah not having Gobert. Peyton gets a boost if Rubio sits. He fits all 3 categories. Fournier fits, pretty much 2 of the 3 categories. Shelvin Mack. So there's actually a lot of options for Orlando, even though I don't like this game much. So don't overlook it. I just don't think there's going to be as much value. And part of these numbers have to do with historical data. Utah's been a great defensive team over the last few years. So, the absence of Rudy Gobert, Gordon Hayward being traded, and Rubio now being hurt, plus Cephalosha might be hurt, puts Orlando in play to be a nice little sleeper team and gives you the ability to get some upside for some of their value plays. And then the last team here is Atlanta. They've got a 0, so you're looking for a stud on the team that gives you field goal attempts. So that's going to be Dennis Schroeder. First name that comes to mind. I do like Bazemore. I do like Taurean Prince. Those are your volume shooters. Bellinelli off the bench. But Atlanta is another team that likes to play small. They're playing against Boston. So I think the guards in this Boston at Atlanta game could hold some decent value. And I went over the games. Here are the games here again. You're going to want to focus on these 2 games probably the most. Got the 2 highest scores. Pretty much they're both outliers compared to all the rest of the scores. This game is a game that I personally like I mentioned, because of the categories that I expected the teams to trend upwards in. And then Clippers at Charlotte and Boston at Atlanta are coming in tied for basically 4th place with a score of 1.5. So those are the games. Those are the teams. And then here is my player list. I'm going to start trying to do this as often as I can, just to kind of help you out with some of the names that I mentioned and some other plays that you should strongly consider that are based on my own data and trends that I look for. So I'm not going to read every name. Take a screenshot, pause the video, write them down. But if there's any players on this list that you see are highlighted in green, even if they're not highlighted in green, this whole list in general are players that I'm considering today. As of right now, of course, things change with injuries and when you start limiting down your players. But the players in green are the ones that I feel strongly about. I feel a little bit stronger about, based on all my research. So hopefully this helps you out. Follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Rasta. Come check us out at the DFScave.com. I'll be having NFL cheat sheets available. I'll also have a list of players that I like for NFL. Just posted a video, we posted a podcast, so check us out on YouTube, and I'll be posting that on Twitter as well. All right, have a good one.